I
Oh,
am.
I'm sitting on a ball. What are you guys sitting on?
I'm sitting on two. I'm sitting on two balls. So hold on. That's better.
Welcome to the Two Authors Chat Show, an entertaining podcast with two best-selling authors connecting readers with an eclectic array of distinguished guests through lively conversation and interviews. Hosted by mystery, suspense and thriller writers Douglas Pratt and Nicholas Harvey.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. How about yourself, Mr. Harvey?
I'm good. It's nice to see you. Right now, as we're recording this, storms are raging throughout the United States of America. How's it been with you in Tennessee?
Today is actually pretty, but this week it's going to turn brutally cold, which, for here, like -2, I think is the temperature on Sunday. It's just going to be terrible.
Yeah, I hope everyone's doing okay. That's been in the storms. I know a lot of friends of ours have been posting stuff. It's been scary. There's been some nasty stuff.
It's climate change.
You got it. It's not fake news, people. There's some stuff going on. All right. We got a listener question. What do you got?
We do, yes. So our question today comes from Portland, Maine, which is farther north than I've ever been. But it's from Danny Green, who asks, how long does it take you to write a book?
The actual writing stage takes me about 6 weeks, 6 to 7, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it depends where you go. Okay, when's it written? So I lay out some form of a plot, depending on what I'm up to. I plot a bit or plot a lot, varies. And then I get down to writing, and I try and shoot for about 10,000 words a week. And a book generally comes out in the mid-70s. So that would be just over 7 weeks. But what tends to happen is I do more words as I get towards the end, and you get into the final stuff where there's no more sort of plotting and making sure you're fitting bits and pieces together. You're at the end in the final climactic scene. So I kind of tend to output more. So about 6 or 7 weeks, then I read through and do my edit read throughs, and then it goes to the editor. How about you?
Same. I mean, it's about 6 to 8 weeks. I probably go a little bit longer than you. I'm a little slower. I think I get a little more sidetracked. But for the actual writing, I think it's about the same. About 2,000 words a day, 10,000 words a week.
I'm actually on a project right now, which is an extra project that I'm doing for myself. If I'm going to meet the goal, I have to do 12,000 words a week plus to be able to fit it in, because I'm squeezing it in between writing my main series. So it's challenging. Especially when there's always other stuff going on, and of course I'm doing the final editing for the AJ book, so all that stuff's coming back and forth to me that I have to interact with. And then so I had a great week of writing last week where I lost a day and then caught it up and hit my word count. And then this week I thought I'm going to be good, and then I lost a day completely yesterday with working on the AJ project, but it balances out.
There's always a little bit of that. It's always kind of a mixture of some days I get what I need done. Some days I get just barely what I need done. Some days I blow through it. Some days I don't get it anywhere near because there's something else that happens that comes along. So
life,
and I always think I'm going to write more than I actually do. Like, yeah, I think I would learn by now. Like, oh, we went down to Florida to do some diving. I'm like, I'll make sure I get 1,000 words a day. No, I did not. It never happens. You'd think I'd learn.
I think probably 4 days out of 7 weeks to write a book, I write more than I had thought I would write that day. That's kind of the ratio. All right, who we got on this week as a guest?
Yes, we have New York Times, USA Today best-selling author. She writes romance, sports romance, which is going to be kind of cool. I hope we get to talk to her about that. Jenn Sterling here today. Welcome to the show, Jen. How are you today?
I'm good, Doug. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
Well, you look fabulous.
Are we all sitting comfortably? That's the main thing. Are we sitting comfortably?
I'm sitting on a ball. What are you guys sitting on?
I'm sitting on two balls. So hold on. That's better.
I think my ball might be bigger than yours.
I don't know. I'll break into song. I've got big balls, so.
We are moving along quickly.
Doug, you wouldn't be able to sit. You wouldn't even be able to walk.
Oh my God.
That's it. This podcast is over.
It's over.
Over before it even begins.
Anyone in their right mind would restart, but we won't. We will plow on through. So, Jenn, it's lovely to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about how you got into writing.
Well, Nick, I used to work for Lucasfilm, which is Star Wars, and I got fired.
And Indiana Jones, right?
Well, yeah, but...
Wait, you got fired?
I got fired.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean...
Are we allowed to ask what you did to get fired? Was it something cool, at least?
No, it was not something cool. It was actually, it wasn't like one thing. It's actually a horrible story that would take much longer than we have on this podcast to get into. So
I feel awful for bringing it up.
I just know. I mean, I don't even know how to Cliff Notes version. It was awful. I got fired. I'm so awesome. Who the hell would fire me? Anyway.
Did you tell them where to shove their lightsaber?
Pretty much. Like, okay, don't let the fucking door hit me on the way out. Oh, am I allowed to swear?
You just did.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just talked about balls. I think we're pretty good on swearing.
That's not the same as saying the F word.
So you moved on from working from Lucasfilm, and what happened next?
I got fired. I went out and bought a laptop. It was literally my first laptop ever. And I started writing this book that I had in my head for like 12 years, honestly. And I never wanted to write it before, but then I suddenly couldn't stop thinking about it. So, you know how they say like timing is divine and everything happens in the right time for the right reason or whatever. It kind of felt like everything fell together as it fell apart. And that's really how I started writing. It wasn't a successful book, to be honest, by any means.
I thought that was going to lead into, and that launched my career.
Absolutely not. But I really just thought I had one book to tell. I thought I just had one story, one book that I wanted to write, and I wrote it, and I was like, cool, I did it. Now what am I going to do with my life? Then I was like, oh, I think like maybe I have another idea for another book. And so then I really felt like, oh, I think I really enjoy writing books. Like I really enjoy doing this. I'm not making any money. This is really hard. This is a lot of work, but I'm really enjoying doing this. And it was my third book that like took off and went crazy.
Okay. So number 3 was what launched it. Now, and were you in a series at this point, or were they standalones?
Yeah, I mean, I'd written just 2 completely standalone stories. And it's so funny because in the time when you're in it, you feel like, oh my gosh, like nothing is taking off, nothing is working, like how am I going to be successful, or how can I even make any kind of money writing books? And it just feels like this long journey. And whenever I look back, I'm like, it was your 3rd book, bitch. Like,
that's
it was
pretty
like,
good.
That's pretty quick.
You've been writing for 1 year and then beyond your wildest dreams had this success. So I'm very aware that I'm like, wow, that really was like something special. That really was fast in the grand scheme of things. But it just is, it's so different how you feel when you're in it.
Yeah, sure. How long ago was that?
That was in 2012 when all my dreams came true.
That was a good time, though, for ebooks especially, right? That was the beginning of the golden years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was bananas. Like, I've had nothing like that since. We're hoping to recreate it this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but don't you find at each level you feel the same thing? Like when, you know, we've all passed through different levels of what we're making from selling our books, and you start off and you're like, oh my God, this is like, what am I doing? Why did I do this? And then it picks up a little bit, and you're like, oh, I have hope. This is good. And then it feels like, God, I've got to get to the next level. I don't know. Does that ever stop? I'm certainly not at a level where that has stopped for me by any means. I still feel like I'm scared to death that this year is good. I'm going to fall on my face.
I feel like I don't take anything for granted. And I think I knew that like right from the beginning, like, oh, just because this book was so successful, that's not a guarantee that anything I write beyond this will have that kind of success or even be remotely successful. And I just think it's a horrible way to feel, but it's also the truth. I mean, it is the truth of the business. We have a lot of flops.
On that question, it's like my wife and I were discussing this the other day about the whole imposter syndrome, and whether or not you have that or the vice versa, which is like, I feel like I'm never quite done with my goals, which is why I don't have that necessarily that whole imposter, because I'm like, oh no, I'm not quite where I need to be anyway. So there's no need to worry about having that imposter syndrome. Do you feel that way as well, or do you have something similar to that?
I mean, I think imposter syndrome is a very like kind of trendy phrase. And it's something that I feel like a lot of people talk about and bring up and want to put themselves in. I personally have never felt imposter syndrome because I mean, I honestly don't know why. It's not that I'm like, oh my God, my books are so great and this should be a bestseller. It's not, it has nothing to do with that. I don't feel like an imposter because I'm not. Like, I'm a writer. I'm writing stories that I want to tell in my voice. You know, it's a job, but I'm passionate and I'm an artist. And I've never felt like that. But I understand that people are constantly saying that they do. And I just think you shouldn't.
Oh, that's good.
And we're done. That's exactly the advice we have. So
exactly. So anyone out there that's feeling that, stop. Just stop it.
Stop it. I don't understand what you're impostering.
When you do bad things, just stop doing that too. So listen to Jenn.
Yeah, just stop.
Yes. Words of advice from Jenn. So you write, well, I guess, sports romance. Is that what you would call it? Is that kind of the, like, or is it?
I mean, I definitely write like contemporary romance, but my best-selling books by far are my sports romance novels.
As somebody who doesn't write, or, you know, we don't have sports action thrillers, I guess, but how does that work? I could, yeah.
AJ Stewart does. AJ does.
That's true.
He has themes in each one of
themes,
his,
yeah. I guess so.
Like baseball and surfing and all sorts, yeah.
It's basically, Doug, it's basically just like writing a romance, but the sport is one of the characters' kind of occupation, right? So it's just, that's what's considered a sports romance. Like for me with The Perfect Game, it started when they were in college and the girl's in college and the guy is a baseball player.
So would it be like any sport? Like what's the most popular sport for sport romance? Do you know? What would that be?
Hockey 100%. They won't stop with the hockey romances.
That's hot right now. I remember at NINC they were talking about.
Yeah, somebody was. You know what we should do? We should break out a ping pong romance. That would be.
Oh, yeah. Pickleball romance.
Pickleball romance.
Oh, that's good.
At the Villages in Florida.
Curling romance.
There we go.
Oh. I don't even know what curling is.
Oh, it's the one British. With the brooms.
It's a weird British thing. Don't listen to
them. Yeah,
we're not British.
We're not going to write that.
No, it's where they.
We don't play that in America. We don't play curling.
Yeah, we don't do
stupid stuff like that.
Yes, you do.
I never knew anybody that curled.
Me either. Nobody does curling except for my hair. Do you like it?
But it looks pretty straight from here. So,
yeah. What the fuck, Doug? It's curled.
Mine's curled.
It looks very curly. Give it to her, Doug. It looks curly, dear.
Thanks.
All right. So sports romance. And you're a baseball fan by the sound of it, right?
Yeah, very much. I was definitely raised on the Dodgers. I played softball for 15 years.
She said Dodgers.
My son's a professional baseball player. So it's like baseball is the sport that I know intimately. So I really enjoy writing it because I know what I'm talking about.
My wife used to work for the California Angels back when they were called the California Angels instead of the silly name they have now.
I worked for Disney when we sold the Angels.
There we go. Yeah, she met Mr. Autry. Mr. Autry owned Gene Autry owned it when she was there. Yeah, way back.
That's so dope. I love it. Also, don't hate on the Dodgers.
No, I don't actually. I was a Dodger fan before I married my wife, and then I had to be an Angels fan.
It's okay. It's okay.
We coexist.
They're in different leagues. You're allowed to be both.
Yeah. You can have both.
Doug is sitting there like,
I'm not a baseball fan.
Like, what's baseball?
That's pretty much. I don't watch a lot of baseball. So,
Doug, that's an American sport, unlike curling.
It is an American sport. It is an American sport. I will, it is true. It's just not.
It is the American sport. Just to point it out to you.
The American pastime.
It is. I'm not disagreeing. It's just never been one I was a big fan to watch. So
I do think like sports romance extremely popular right now. Hockey 100% dominates. You can write any sport that you want and it would fall into the sports romance category. I think for my book, baseball was just a part of it. I think that the story itself is what really kind of, it was back in the day before there was ads, before there was marketing. So it was very much just word of mouth. And I think the story was very shocking. And there's subject matter in there that I didn't realize was going to be so offensive. But but it just controversial. Sorry, just controversial. And the book just blew up. And I had only intended to write this one story, but it blew up in such a way that it turned into a series.
That's awesome. Hey, if you want to write race car romance, I'll co-write with you. I'll write the racing pieces and then you write the romance bits, because I'd be shit at writing the romance bits. And I'm spent my life in racing before I quit to write books.
Yeah, you should definitely. I mean, that's a big deal. All that stuff, as long as
it's like Days of Thunder 2.
No, it's nothing like Days of Thunder 2. Nothing. There was one scene in Days of Thunder that was realistic. One scene and one scene only, and that was the rental car scene. So I've been involved in situations with the rental cars.
That you felt like, oh yeah, oh, this is real.
Oh, I can tell you the state we've delivered or told them to go pick up their rental car in. Yeah, there was a lot of that went on back in the day, but the rest of it was garbage. Entertaining garbage, but garbage.
Yeah, but see, that's like when you know a sport intimately, that's like what is unnerving to watch and also makes you absolutely crazy, because you're like, this is total BS. Like, this isn't what happened. This isn't how it goes. This is not how it works. That's why I struggle reading other people's baseball romances, because I'm like, yeah, this is just wrong. And it makes me angry. It makes me so mad.
So when you talk about reading stuff, what else do you like to read? Do you read other romance or do you read other genres?
So last year I was very, very, very burnt out of romance. I hated everything about it. I couldn't read it. I couldn't write it. Even thinking about it just made me want to throw up. I was just like, I hate everything about this. It's so cheesy. I hate this genre. I'm just, everybody writes the same stuff. I was just so like, ugh. So I started reading like a lot of mystery and like thrillers, because they're so fun. And I get so excited to read that stuff because I can't write like that. Like, I'm not that clever or that like plot driven. I'm not a good plotter.
Okay, first of all, Jen, we write those books. Do we seem clever to you in any way? Do we seem clever to you? Believe me, you could write that stuff.
Yes, you do. Like, I feel like our brains work in certain ways, and mine is not to plot the things that I write. Oh, but I'm a hell of a dissector while I'm reading it. Like, ooh, I know what's coming next, but I find so much enjoyment in that. So I read a lot of that kind of stuff last year. Now that I'm back, like, I no longer want to vomit thinking about romance, and I'm writing romance again, and I'm so happy and joyful and like, oh my God, this is so fun. I get why people love this. Like, what a happy, joyful escape. I'm reading like nothing but indie romances. I don't ever really read typically like traditionally published authors. I love to read like my indie authors.
And do you read primarily the sports romance, or are you saying that kind of makes you mad reading that stuff? So you stay contemporary romance?
I will read like hockey or sports romance. I am currently writing like a small town romance. So I am obsessed with reading other small town romances right now, because I never really read them before. But it was just like, oh, this makes so much sense. I get why people enjoy this. This is so enjoyable to get into a world and have all these interconnected standalones, because you're already invested in the characters, and it's really fun. So I'm having a lot of fun reading different small town romances, as I am currently also writing my own. But God, there's a lot of similarities. Do you guys find that in your genre? Like, there's just only so many stories to tell. It's just the voice that you tell it in that makes it different.
I feel that way about not just the genre, but just in each book I write, that sometimes I'm like, I feel like I repeated this, only on a different island, and I'm beating up somebody else. You know, it's the same.
But readers like familiarity.
They do. They want the same thing.
There's a reason that formulas work. Yeah. I struggle with that too as an artist, where I don't want to keep writing the same thing over and over again, because I feel like, oh, I've already told this story 10 different ways. I really, really try to make each one of my books different. And I'm like, ooh, I think that kind of works against you sometimes. Like, you're just making it too hard, and people love a formula. I love a formula as a reader.
I think so, but I think getting a twist on it in some way is important. I mean, there's a couple of people in our genre or in our field that are putting out a book a month, which putting out sort of thrillers a book a month is, and they are writing pure formula. They literally, the beats, the way it's broken up, They just move them into different environments and the same, they're on a ship instead of a plane. And it's all very formula and stuff. And for me, it's great. And yes, you're going to move a fair number of books and people like the same thing. But I think moving the stuff around and some variety keeps it fresh in your mind and for you and as a writer and challenges you, right?
Definitely. But I can tell for you probably struggle with the same thing I do. And Doug, you probably do as well. The biggest lesson that I'm really trying to learn after being in this business for 13 years, like, geez, Jen, figure it out already, is balancing between being an artist and writing for business. And, I do want to write for money, but I don't want to write something I don't feel passionate about. So I have very much always struggled with kind of what you're talking about, that rapid release and putting out a book a month. I'm like, well, I could never do that because I'm not a formulaic writer and I don't just make up BS stories just to put them out for, just to make money. So that has definitely been my biggest hurdle. And I feel like this year, I don't know what it is that's kind of shifted, but I have felt like, hey, I feel like I'm finally in a ground right now with this series that I'm writing. A small town series is very trendy, very tropey, very much what people want to read, but I'm also loving the stories I'm telling. So I feel like I have that balance right now. And I feel like it's kind of the first time ever intentionally that I've done that, because I've always been so artist focused. Like, everything has to be for the art. And yes, I want to make money, but like, I don't want to sell out, or I don't want to this, or I don't want to that. And it's a hard position to be in.
I would sell out in a heartbeat, just so anybody knows.
You would?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, I'd sell out in a heartbeat. I'm just telling you, I'd be all over it. No.
Oh, Doug.
I'd love to contradict him, but I can't. He would.
Well, I want it all.
That's true. I'm just kidding. Now, let's move on. I wanted to ask you, so you have this Hollywood experience in your background. How do you think that affected how you write and how you portray stories?
It didn't affect anything except for, giving me good ideas to pull from and good storylines to include. I wrote like a whole celebrity series of books, and there's a lot of that stuff that is very accurate to the business and very accurate to what I went through and experienced. So I also, I had like a not so great experience working at Star Wars. So I got to throw all my jabs in and all my anger out in one of my books, where I got to make the person that I hated the villain without them knowing, right? I got to,
until now,
be like, this guy sucks.
When they're listening right now.
I don't care. I tell him to his face. I'm not scared of no one.
That's cool. But do you when you write, do you visualize it as in a movie format when you're writing?
Yeah, I definitely see it in my head. 100%. So that's kind of like the first book that I wrote. When I finally got it professionally edited, she said to me, Jen, you wrote this book like you were a director and you were overseeing everything. And so you wrote it from like 100 points of view. And I was like, yeah, but that's how I saw it. Like, can't you see it? She's like, that's not how you write a book. And I was like, oh. She's like, you're supposed to stay in one person's head. I was like, wow, I do not know anything about anything.
I wouldn't agree with that.
I do write in multiple points of view, but she was right from that first book. I very much was like head hopping every paragraph because I wrote it the way a camera would film it.
Some people don't mind reading that. I mean, LJ Ross is huge, especially in the UK, and she head hops all the time. I struggle to read that. It throws me.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. If you could read that without an issue and it works, cool. But I would find it would be, I've never written another book that way. So I would like to think that doesn't work for me. I would like to think I'm a better writer now.
I think after 13 years, like I've been in it for 13 years.
Well, you would hope.
And I feel like I'm a
it's
better
safe
writer.
to say.
Yeah. So
I felt like a rookie. You're veterans.
How long have you been doing it, Nick?
Well, I wrote the first one in 2017, but I didn't do anything more until 2019. Really, 2020 is when I started.
My God, you're just a little pumpkin baby.
Little baby.
He's cute, isn't it? So
yeah.
You're just a little baby. We're dino authors.
It's important to start a second career from ground zero when you're young. But I chose not to do that.
Same.
But what do you like to do outside of writing then?
I go to the gym. I sit at home by myself. I walk my dog. We like to find really good food and really bougie cocktails. Like, I really enjoy finding a cocktail that takes like 10 minutes to make. Like, there's nothing I love more.
Do you like making them that take 10 minutes to make, or you might like finding somewhere where someone else takes 10 minutes to make them?
I mean, I can make it, but I do enjoy finding somebody who's like just a fantastic mixologist. A good cocktail is really enjoyable.
Oh, you can't beat a good cocktail. So
seriously. So I also, like, my son plays professional baseball, so we travel to go see him play a lot.
Who's he playing for? Who do we go root for?
He plays in Chicago. He is on a team called the Boomers. They're in the Frontier League. So during the season, he'll be there like from May through September. And we go there a lot and do that. Like, our life like still kind of revolves around our kids. My boyfriend has a 17-year-old daughter. So it's still kind of like our hobbies are making sure we see them and spend time with them because all of our kids are in different states.
Dougie's got all his kids close to home, huh?
I do right now, yeah. And grandkids. So I usually go to
grandbabies.
Yeah, I got grandbabies. They're so sweet. They call me Pops. In fact, it drives my wife nuts because they really like me the best. I'm the favorite.
That's what I just wrote in my book. The guy
you wrote that I was the favorite?
I'm the first. No, he said I made my dad a grandpa, but he wants to be called Pops.
Well, I chose Pops because it's
I love it.
It's good for later on. Like, if you were to call me like Daddy Doug, which is great when they're 3, but when they're 23, it becomes creepy. So
Daddy Doug.
I was just trying.
You save that for the bedroom, Dougie.
That's right.
Only your wife should be calling you Daddy Doug.
There's no way Ashley is calling him Daddy Doug.
Dang it! I'm gonna work on it.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, I'd be kind of cool. No, yeah, but yeah.
When I meet her, I'm gonna be like, I heard that you called Doug Daddy Doug in the bedroom, and she'll be like, wait, what?
Ashley will turn around and slug Doug. That's what'll happen in that scenario. She will turn around and deck Doug.
All right. Well, I'm definitely doing it now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, come on, because Nink, she'll be there at Nink. So
oh my gosh. Okay, I'm coming.
Bring it on and just give me a warning.
But anyway, no, I do think you got to think about your grandparent name for down the road, especially as a guy. Like, granddaddy's okay, grandpa's okay, but I didn't want to feel like I was too kind of old. I liked Pops. It was kind of a cool.
I like Pops too. That's why I put it in the book, because it's super timeless.
I'm Papa Nick.
Papa Nick's not bad. Yeah, Papa Nick.
Yeah, I didn't think about the long-term thing though. Like,
that's not as bad.
When they're married with
my dad, my kids called my dad Daddy Mike, and so that was great then. But now they're in their 20s and they still call him that. So it's kind of, I think that's got to be.
There's 4 deer outside my window right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Unless they're stalking you.
They hear me in here. So they just look at me like, what are you doing, lady? I'm like, what do you want to do? You want me to take you for a walk? Like, what do you want from me?
They want you to feed them because it's frickin' snowing outside and they got to dig to find this food.
I have a giant water bowl for them. So they come here every day and drink the water.
Oh, that's cool.
It's the same deer. It's the same deer that come every single day.
Huh. Do you name them?
Yeah, I name them.
Oh, what do you name them?
I definitely name them. But I name them like based on their ailments. Like, one of them has a broken face, so I call him like a UFC fighter. I'm like, oh, the UFC fighter's here. And then one of them has like a janky foot, so I call him Janky Foot. I mean, one of them had 1 antler, so I call him 1 antler. Like, they're very non-creative, simple names, but
you make fun of their maladies. Is that what it is? So
yeah, but I do it with love.
That's English humor right there. That's when you're growing up, you get nicknamed by whatever your ailment is, and it's so not PC, but still happens.
I can't keep them all straight. Literally, they're like,
they look like
pertness is the only way I could tell them apart. They're giant. They're like the size of donkeys. I've never seen deer like this. Is there a way to turn my camera around?
Well, we're an audio podcast, Jen, so it's not very exciting for the
Sorry,
listeners.
everyone. Imagine
okay, Doug,
the deer.
We're going to describe the deer. Man. We're going to describe the deer. So we're going to ask one more question for you, and we have a fun wheel. It's a wheel of questions. So you get one last question, and you get to hear the sound effects.
That's kind of a great sound.
I know, isn't it? That's why we have the wheel. So we could just record the sound, but well, this might be interesting. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you like to do?
When I did get fired and I started writing, I started 2 other businesses. One was photography and one was making cupcakes. And it's funny because the cupcake business was the one that took off the most. And it made me the angriest because it was so much work and it's so expensive. I wasn't making any money. And then the photography was the second most popular. And I was like, this sucks too. Because you're not really working for yourself. You got to do it on everybody else's time. And then they want their edits right away. And then the books were the least. That brought me the most joy. So I would like to think, there is a part of me that really, really enjoys baking, really enjoys all the cupcakes that I created. I did all this stuff from scratch, frosting. I had a whole business plan. I really like that, but I think I would hate it in 2 seconds. I don't want to do anything. I want to make a lot of freaking money writing books and I want to sell them and I want them to be a TV series on Netflix. And that is what I want.
And then people bring you cupcakes.
That sounds
people bring you cupcakes and hors d'oeuvres and drinks that take 10 minutes to make.
I agree with you because I would already said I'm a sellout. I would sell out in a heartbeat. So that's kind of all I want to do is be a sellout. Somebody come along and buy my book, and then you can change all the names to whatever you want to. You can change the whole thing as long as you pay me for it. It'd be cool.
Nick, what would you be doing? Well, God, you just started writing.
I'd still be in racing. I'd be working for the NASCAR team.
Okay, that's really cool. Why did you stop working for them?
Long story.
The same reason I stopped working at Star Wars?
Pretty much, yeah. You're Lucasfilm. I'm sure it was the same at Lucas. 95% of the people there were fantastic and great and working together and pulling the same way and everything else. And it's just the few that ruin it for everybody.
Out of curiosity, do you think maybe it's y'all that are the few?
Never crossed my mind.
Nope. No, because I know I was not the problem. I've never been fired from a job before. But I do have a strong personality. So if a male in a certain authoritative position doesn't like a strong, mouthy female, then that's going to be a problem for me.
I'm a little scared right now because what I have to say is we're done with the show. Is it okay if we stop now? I just want to check with you, Jen, before we go ahead and wrap it up.
No one told you we could end, Nick. No one said you could end. No.
This has been... my face hurts. I laugh so much. So, Jen, I can't wait to see you at NINC. You got to come. And
oh my gosh,
this has been
I'm going to come even if I don't go.
Oh my God.
No.
Let's wrap that up. Let's wrap before it continues getting out. But thanks, Jen. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
She is funny.
She's a hoot, isn't she?
Everyone, as we got off air, she ran through the house with her computer and walked outside and showed us the deer she was talking about. And she walked up and they're sniffing her hand, the wild deer in her backyard. So it was pretty cool.
She has tamed them. Down here in Tennessee, somebody would just tame them. And
I was going to say, you'd see it drop in front of you. Like, thanks for holding it still for me.
Yes.
All right. What's happening in your world there, Doug?
Well, let's see. I'm actually getting ready to leave in 2 days, going to Columbia, the country, not Columbia, South Carolina, Cartagena, down there where...
I am so jealous, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Cool.
I'm gonna do some diving. We're gonna do some
that's really
tour the islands, tour some cities. Mostly though, we're looking for places to set my next Corsair book. So it's gonna be pretty exciting. Research. It's so much fun. And I've already looked at places to eat.
Yep.
Places to go. I'm kind of excited about the diving. It's going to be pretty cool. So
very cool. We had a dive master with Neptune Divers in Cayman years ago, who was from Colombia, and he said the diving there really is superb. And he was a dive master in Cayman, so that's what he was comparing it to, and he said, it's really good. So can't wait to hear.
Colombia is not far from Bonaire. It's like right there, pretty close.
Across from, Venezuela's right below Bonaire.
But how about you? What's going on with you?
Well, when this airs, will be the release of Lighthouse Point, the new AJ Bailey adventure, and it's I'm excited. It's a bit of a passion project. It's got a lot of diving in it, a lot of tech diving. It's got a race for the first time. I've got racing in a book, and but it's the flashback stuff from the other timeline, that as I do dual timelines a lot, and so it's from 1970, the racing. But if you're not interested in diving or racing, don't worry. It's the backbone of the story is I think still carries it. It just happens.
Who's not interested in diving or racing? Boring.
I don't know. I threw that out there, but
I mean, like seriously, I don't race, but I mean, it'd be kind of cool. I do dive, but to mix them together, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. It's the longest novel I've written to date. I really enjoyed writing it, and it's right now it's in the final editing, and it will release on the 23rd. So check it out. And then I have some very sad news. So David Soul passed away. Remember Starsky and Hutch?
Yes. Yeah.
David Soul. Yep. And I killed him.
Well, he was Starsky, wasn't he? Or is he Hutch?
He was Hutch? Now I forget. He was Hutch, I think.
He was Hutch.
Oh, okay. Shit. I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway, I feel terrible. So this is one of those crazy things in the universe. I feel like I did. This is one of the nuts things in this universe. So my wife and I were out for a walk, literally a week, maybe 4 days, 5 days before he passed. And I don't know why. Something came up that I started thinking about David Soul and remember the records that he put out. And I'm like, yeah, because he died young. And she's like, no, I think he's still alive. I said, no, I'm pretty sure he's the guy that died young. So then we looked it up and he's not. He's still alive. I'm like, oh, thank God, David Soul's still alive. Like 4 days later, he's dead.
Nice. So
pretty sure that's me that did that. Yeah, pretty sure I killed him. So I apologize to everybody.
I don't know that he's doing anything, so he's probably in a better place.
Oh my God.
I mean, he wasn't coming out with Starsky and Hutch 2 or anything like that. So
no, but he was probably enjoying himself. I mean, he probably had grandkids and things, and
I'm sure he did.
Him,
I mean, it's very sad. I guess Daddy David.
All right,
not gonna live that down, am I?
You are not as long as I'm alive. So, thank you, Jen, for coming on the show. What a hilarious lady, and so subscribe to the show. Give us a 5-star review if you wouldn't mind. If you think this was worth 5 stars,
make sure you check out our show notes because we do have all of Jen's real websites for her books and stuff, not her anything else. But
we'll see you in a couple of weeks, right?
That's absolutely. Yes, sir.
Until then, be cool to each other.
Fair winds and following seas.
You've been listening to the Two Authors Chat Show with Nicholas Harvey and Douglas Pratt.